I like to play in the dirt. How about you? Hey y'all, I'm Janet, Mrs. Farmer Brown. Welcome back to Farmer Brown's Paradise. Today I've decided to start a new video series of short little videos that will walk you through the process that I use to garden. So we'll take you through the whole process from now, planting stage, all the way to harvest. So let's get started. Let me show you a few things that I've done. Maybe it's because I don't know, left-brained a little bit, and I have to have things somewhat organized. You know, part of the really important part about gardening is probably not the fun stuff. It's record keeping. Because record keeping is going to save you an enormous amount of time, and it's also going to show you from year to year to year your successes and your failures and where you should maybe make changes. So I began with gardening in 2008. I did not really start taking notes and getting really serious after about 3 years of pretty much failures. So here is what I have put together. So come closer and I'll show you the process. Okay, well here is my book. I like to play in the dirt. Inside my scrapbook gardening book here, I have several divisions. My first one is planting calendars, and in it I have printed all kinds of calendars specifically for my region. Why do I print so many? Well, I kind of like to make sure that they match up with each other. This one is probably my favorite go-to here, just Alabama vegetable gardening chart, because it gives me spring planting dates and fall planting dates. The rest of it's not really applicable to me because I don't really need to know a lot about spacing, rows, plants, etc. Not for the rain gutter. Here's one, a planting calendar specifically for Opelika, which is where I live. And again, it talks about when to sow seeds indoors, when to transplant seedlings into the garden. So this is a really good one too. This one I printed that says just for spring, which is very helpful. And then here we get to the fall. The next section are just notes, things that I've printed and things that I have written. Soil amendments, companion planting. I really like to refer to the companion planting various charts that I have in here, which helps me a lot in knowing what to plant next to something and why to plant it there. This one is probably the most important one, the garden beds, because this is where I'm going to be doing out all of my planting. What I do is I have a sheet here for each one of my garden beds. We have 5 garden beds. A couple of years ago, before I started using the buckets, like here for example, I used a grid to help me know in spacing what I was going to be planting in each garden bed. And then down here I had a symbol for what it meant, the plant type and variety, the number I planted, the spacing, the date planted, and so forth. Now that I've gone to buckets, I really don't need this grid, so I just show the buckets on each of the rails, each of the gutters. And if I have a trellis, I just draw that at the back to remind me that I have that trellis there for those things that need it. Most of the fall crops, however, don't need a trellis. But this helps me to organize what I'm going to plant exactly where I'm going to plant it. I usually make some notes about companion plants. For example, this bed consists of mostly cabbages on these 2 rails, and I am going to plant something brand new, white Sonora wheat, in these buckets just because I think it would be fun to try to grow that. But right up here I've made a note of companion plants. In my planning for the fall garden, now that we are doing the rain gutter garden system, this is something else that is important to have nearby. So, what grows in, it says 1 gallon bags, but then in this chart from the RGGS group page, you also have 2 gallon, 3 gallon, 5 gallon, 7 gallon, 10 gallon. Peas. They show 1 in a gallon, but then they show 6 to 7 plants if you're using a 7 gallon bag. Well, I'm using a 5 gallon, so I'm going to go with 4 peas per bucket. So right here in my chart, Mammoth Melting Sugar Snow Peas, I'm going to plant 4 buckets, and I'm planting 4 in each bucket. So that means I need to make at least 16 seed starts. I'll probably do 20 just to make sure that I've got some good growth. And that is how I go about calculating where I'm going to place everything, how many per bucket, then I record it, and it helps me to know how many seed starts. And I will make a note of the date that I seed started it. Once I have my general idea of what I'm planting, where I'm planting, and how many of each item I am planting, then I start dividing my seeds by date. So, for example, this pile, between August 1st and 15th is when I should transplant broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. And finally, to talk a little bit more about record keeping, and I'm not the best at it, I will readily admit that. The last 3 years, I bought gardening calendars. This is the first year that I started really seriously trying to keep notes about everything that I was doing and when I should be doing it. And I keep a hold of these calendars, and year after year, usually on a really cold December day, November, December, I will sit and go through them and make notes in the brand new calendar that I've bought so that I will remember things to do. Things that happen year after year. For example, March 1st, I need to fertilize my fruit trees and berries and grapes with 1 pound of 10-10-10 on the trees and a 1/4 pound on my raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, and grapes. That's a yearly thing, so that helps me to remember when I should be doing that. So, I hope this gives you a few good ideas on how to plan out your garden in a methodical way where it's not just random and haphazard and crazy. I have to be able to plan out the way we do because we plant 126 buckets. So if I didn't plant it out, I don't think it would ever get done correctly. And be sure to stay tuned because the very next one right after this is seed starting. So I'm about to play in the dirt. Bye. And remember, have a good one.